had some screen issues for a second. Let me invite Bobby, and then we'll get going here. My bad. Link. Send. Okay. Okay, everybody. So I have to relaunch my my spreadsheets here. Just give me a minute. Just had some small technical issues. We'll open everything up at the same time. I'll get my DraftKings up, and then we'll get going. Get this FanDuel stacks, and then we'll get DK stacks, and then that's all we have. And FanDuel projections too. FanDuel projections also. What's up, K9? Just waiting on Bobby, and then we can get started. Had a couple of technical issues, but I think we've worked them. I've worked them out. There he is. Sorry about that, Bobby. I had small technical issues.
No worries at all. How's it going?
Going pretty well. I figure I have about maybe half hour, 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Sounds great.
That should be good.
Yep.
So I guess the one thing, I guess for me, well, it's weird. You know what I'm waiting on? I can't really wait on it. Just got to keep an eye on it. Remember, I usually don't get to play San Francisco too much.
Mm-hmm.
And I just keep forgetting that they're like late to release lineups and stuff. And Lamont Wade is still questionable, you know. So that's actually something I'm gonna have to monitor most of the night, right?
No longer. We've got the lineup in.
Oh, is Wade in or out?
Wade is not in.
Ugh. All right.
Yastrzemski, Bryant, Crawford, Posey, Dickerson, Ruff, Duggar, Solano.
All right, so I'm going to have to redo everything pretty much.
Dickerson is the one I didn't have in there, so we can get some Dickerson.
Well, is Dickerson a straight swap for Wade?
If you're using Wade in the outfield, it is.
Okay.
Not if you're using it in the infield.
Right. Okay. Oh, it isn't, is it? Right. Okay.
Yeah, not quite.
No. The other thing that I have, like right now, I'm going to redo everything, by the way. But right now, the one thing that I have different that I didn't have before, I am playing some Josiah Gray, which I wasn't going to before. That's the one major change for me.
Yeah, I hear you.
I just did a little more research, and I don't know, he just.
Yeah, I told you the kid's got great stuff. So.
And the other thing that I came on to a little more was more Seattle, actually.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a lot of 2-men like Baltimore guys. The one thing I'm doing differently is I'm going to stack some Washington.
Okay.
It's really easy to do. They're cheap, and I don't think that it's going to be that popular. So that's sort of what I'm finding. And then I obviously still like Milwaukee, the Yankees, and San Francisco the best.
Oh, so do me a favor, just walk me through once more the San Francisco lineup. So, there it is. Yastrzemski, Crawford. I'm not saying in order. Posey. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dickerson is the one different piece here a little bit than what we were expecting. And I have I really like that Washington stack on DraftKings. It's just from a price standpoint, you can get it in pretty easily, and even down to like Garcia at shortstop to try and get off of all of the spending up on Adames or Crawford. I just think that's an interesting way to go as a part of a 4 or 5 man stack, because just looking at it, like the guy's never had really power through his minor league career until this season. Hit a home run the other day. Is going to be low owned. I wanted to get somehow to get different on this slate. And like what I'm doing with my Yankee stacks on FanDuel is like forgoing Rizzo and playing, Gary Sanchez instead, playing some more of the bottom of the order over there.
That sounds good. That's what I talked about towards the end of the thing, and you're usually really good at that.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out a way to do it today. I think that's the way that makes the most sense for me. I still like DeSclafani as my number one pitcher, and I'm very excited at the lower ownership than the other guys.
That was the other one, by the way, that I came on to more was DeSclafani. You sold me somewhat.
Good. Yeah, I have him more on FanDuel because he'll be lower owned over there, and like I said, I really like his chances at the immediate 10 points. Hopefully, you'd hope anyway. The 6 innings and the win, that's 10 extra points right there that I feel more secure with than just about anybody.
I'm getting a lot of that Seattle catcher I keep coming up with. Oh yeah, I didn't end up going there very much. I'm still pretty Narvaez, Sanchez, Posey, but I definitely I support it. I just didn't end up doing it much. Right. Yeah, DeSclafani, I definitely am on to more of than I had been earlier.
Yeah.
So I gotta change my FanDuel. Let me see how much Lamont Wade I had on FanDuel. Probably a lot, right? Let me just see. Yeah. All right. So let's get rid of him.
Right.
Then we start talking about. I just want to get the Lamont Wade stuff out, and then I can.
Yeah, that's fine. I want to do that too, actually. So that's good by me.
I'm going to talk about the slate a little bit. All right. Let's.
And I think I like the full stacks of the teams I mentioned, but I think you could definitely do some 3-3-2s, some 4-2-1-1-1s, 4-2-1-1s. It's just that kind of a slate. It's a small slate. If you pick out the right spots, like Brandon Lowe's a guy I have in my main lineup on FanDuel, but I'm not really using him on DraftKings. I know he's going to be popular, but he's a way that just a guy who I'm using as a one-off quite a bit. And I think that's what I've got in my main lineup is a 4-2-1-1 on FanDuel.
That was the other thing I wanted to mention is that what I've been doing less of recently is I haven't been playing as much FanDuel.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I've been really focused on the.
Hey man, whatever you're doing, keep doing it because it's working.
Right, whatever hashtag, whatever works, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I wouldn't. Can't really fault you for doing anything these days. You got everything. You're pretty much on lock here.
So far, we're kind of locked in. All right. Okay. Let me pull up. Again, this is gonna. I'm not gonna do a whole nother run just for Dickerson. I'm just not gonna do it. You guys, if you want, just swap Dickerson in for freaking Wade if you want.
Yeah. If you're watching now, that's the way to go.
That's the best I could do for you.
Yeah.
But let me. What I didn't do. I know you did a little bit of. Let me talk about some one-offs. Like kind of cheapos, and I'm gonna get your opinions on some of these. On DraftKings, Santander is 2K, and you get leverage off of Haney, so that seems to make some sense. Robles is 2,200. You don't really usually play him.
No power, but I mean, like you can play him cheap, but you can also play. I would rather play Yadiel Hernandez, who has some more power.
Right.
2K. So
he cost me like $25,000 yesterday, so I'm kind of pissed at him.
And there you go. Maybe he gets it back for you today, and you get him for the win.
So Lamont Wade, obviously he's out. Austin Hayes, same story, 2,600. Who is Adrian Sanchez? He's showing up as something.
Yeah, he's at second base. He's part of my stack. Minimum cost guy at second base. Okay. Position I love anyway. So I'm fully on board with using.
Wow, there's a lot of these 2Ks. Who's Jason Martin?
Jason
know.
Martin. Yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
yeah, there's a bunch of 2K guys, so you can actually feel pretty good that they're not going to, and there's no reason to spend as much down. So actually using them is going to be off the board a little bit, and especially the Santander, Hernandez thing, I like a lot personally. And I have very little Heaney. Just not that I don't think he'll pitch well. It's just at this ownership. I think there's so many routes for him to fail. We don't need to play him at this ownership, in my opinion. He is in my main lineup on DraftKings, but he's not in any of my other ones. Basically, that's how I'm treating it.
That's like a Sheets move. I do that a lot.
Yeah. I mean, it's still the same, and then on FanDuel, I'm not using him at all. And
so are we rooting for him or not?
I'm not rooting for him, no, because I mean, it's still on FanDuel. Like I'm using DeSclafani as my main pitcher. It makes me nervous. I love McGill, and it's just too easy.
Yeah. So in keeping with what I said, is in my main lineup on DraftKings, I am playing Heaney and no Yankees. So that'll be.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna do. I ended up feeling a little uneasy with having no Yankee exposure some places. So I really started, in my bigger buy-ins, just getting little 2-man stacks, you know what I mean, and trying to get different elsewhere. But I have I love my secondary lineup on 250 lineups on DraftKings. I've got I really like, getting a little bit of Baltimore. I have a 3-man stack over there. And I just think it's a really good way to get a little bit different. I just don't think they're getting ownership, and they're super cheap. There's power upside. They all project really well against lefties in general. So it's a pretty good spot.
I can't believe Giancarlo Stanton's 4,100.
That Giancarlo's, he's 4. I know it's so cheap. It's just he's struggling, but I'm willing to take that chance. You know what I mean?
And I don't know if you believe in all this stuff, but I mean, he's got so much. Your rates do better when you have the more stacked lineup. But then again, there's going to be nobody on base after these guys all hit home runs. Going to run out of RBIs. It's all these solo home runs ahead of him now.
No, right. I know.
Rizzo and Gallo, and you know what I mean? Like, woo.
Right.
It says, are you guys fading Philly either site?
Not fading them, but I'm not trying to seek them out either. I think they're a really good stack that will be low owned because Washington's bullpen has really struggled the second half of the season since the All-Star break. And Gray can get wild and they can be patient, but they're actually going to have ownership enough, to where I don't want to quite go there. You know what I mean? They're not there's a bunch of, all the guys I want to play are pretty much double-digit ownership except for Didi, who's probably the only one who comes in under of the guys I want, and maybe Baum. You could argue about, but it's just, if I'm going to do that and get a little different, there's other stacks that I would rather play, like Washington, for example, who I can get Garcia at 3% ownership. You can get a low-owned Josh Bell at 5% ownership or something like that. You can, Soto's, people are maybe not going to pay up as much for Soto, and then you mix in the Sanchez, Robles, Hernandez, and Kieboom, and all of those guys make enough sense to me. So I tell you,
Tampa's awesome. Tampa, I just have this sense now that Tampa is just this mad scientist team that just has everything freaking worked out. If you told me right now, okay, so we have Nelson Cruz and Randy Arozarena, and we're batting them 2nd and 6th. You know what I mean? They totally have this all worked out. I promise you. They have it all. Right. They have it all computerized. They said, okay, we're putting Yandy Diaz 4th. We're going to put Nelson Cruz 2nd and Arozarena 6th, and we got it all figured out. I'm in it. I just totally believe it.
I got you.
Who's hitting?
Oh yeah.
Third, the pitcher spot. I mean,
go ahead.
Who's hitting third, the pitcher spot?
For which team?
For Tampa. I'm
for Tampa. Sorry, I'm not on that right now. Give me a second. They have G-Man Choi hitting third. Yeah. He'll be lower owned too, because you've got the Bell. I mean, Bell is going to be more owned, I think, than people are projecting, but I don't think he'll be owned that much. I really like this situation, actually. The more I think about it, because Bell is a pivot off of Rizzo. So when my Yankee stacks, I'm using my 4-man Yankee stacks on DraftKings. I'm using Bell as my first baseman, and my non-Yankee stacks where I'm playing the 2 offs, I'm using Rizzo. In my Rizzo in my Washington stacks. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just sort of a little counter thinking, and they can get you different here. And Rizzo walks a lot anyway. Better play on FanDuel in my opinion, but I do still have him in lineups. I have him in, but like I said, I have him with my Washington stacks, which I really like.
You know what? Team I for some reason wish I had more of. I think I have any of them. Are the Mets? I don't know why. I wish
it's an interesting. I feel similarly, and they're going to be low owned as well. So I think that's not a bad idea. Like I just again, like you, I didn't end up with a ton of it, but I definitely like it.
I'll tell you, man. Has the trading deadline always produced so much movement? I mean, they're like really good players that went to other.
This is the most I've ever seen, and
right. Okay.
By a pretty good amount, actually. It's pretty wild what's happened,
Yeah.
That's another thing I was going to say about FanDuel. You can play like Posey and Sanchez, use the 2 catchers, and while they're both going to have some ownership, I just don't see people playing both the catchers, especially when you got Rizzo there, for the first base spot in the Yankees line stacks. So if you play those 2 guys, I think you're getting a little different within the stacks just as a 2-man combination. I just don't see people going that route as much. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to get one little mini Philly stack in just because I do feel like I like them.
Baez, Soto. That is quite the Nelson Cruz one is kind of interesting to me. That doesn't seem like a Tampa thing.
What do I say that one more time, Sheets? The Nelson Cruz.
Picking up Nelson Cruz.
Oh no, they do that all the time. They always pick up the players for like the rest of the season because that's what you have to do in baseball today to win. People don't do, in my opinion, they don't manage teams right. Everybody goes, oh, what are they going to do about pitching? Everybody's been saying the Yankees are stuck. They've got all these righties locked up. How are they going to get lefties? Well, adding Joey Gallo and Anthony Rizzo, there goes that question. Right. When Boston won the World Series a couple years ago, the cheating that they did and everything that sort of got swept under because of the Astros cheating. Their 4 out of their top 6 pitchers came at the All-Star break. They were,
really?
Yeah. So it wasn't like this mad, they were a good offense and they found the pitching at the All-Star break. If you're good and you're in the hunt, you can get great deals at the break for future prospects from teams that are, disappointing. Like Washington gave away, look what we got this year. I mean, Turner and Scherzer, and that's just crazy. And they're the reason they cost us a World Series a couple of years ago by beating us too. So it's like, maybe 2 years too late, but maybe get another one this year and it makes up for it.
Did Seager come back off the DL? He did, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a whole interesting thing to see what the Dodgers do. But Seager's not a natural shortstop, I don't think, quite anyway. Like, he doesn't quite have the range. You'd want him more at second base. That's probably what he'll end up doing.
Let me take a look what I got going on FanDuel. FanDuel, I actually have more Yankees.
Who are you playing at third base that's not named Chris Bryant on DraftKings?
At third base, not named Chris Bryant. Okay. That would be Yandy Diaz. That would be Joey Wendell. That would be
these are all guys. Okay, I feel good. I feel better with the Chris Bryant thing.
DJ LeMahieu
is the other one I actually like.
Yeah.
I don't think I like the other.
Kyle Seager, I mentioned him. Yeah. Those are the non-Chris Bryants. Those are the names.
Yeah. Ooh, I like this. Stacking the Yankees with the Orioles. Nobody else. I like that.
Chris Bryant. Feel bad. I feel bad for Soto. Whatever. They really dumped that. Washington really dumped their players, huh?
There's a good one. Yeah, Washington. I mean, they just the rebuild. They got some talent. Josiah Gray is a talented guy. There's some talent they got back, but it is a pretty big haul right there. I wouldn't have expected those 2 guys to go in the same trade. Kyle Seager, Project Mayhem's actually, that's a totally viable third base option. That's another good one, I think, for sure.
Yeah.
what Yankee stacks would I be willing to leave off a stack of 4 and 5 man? Asked Adam. So I like leaving off. I mean, there's not leaving off. I like all of them, so I'm playing all of them in different lineups. So I don't know how to answer that question, but my most owned Yankees are guys that are popular. And then on FanDuel, I'm playing more Sanchez because, like I said, Sanchez and Posey as a combination because I just don't think most people want to use the double catcher thing.
No. Yeah.
And they want to play Rizzo with the short porch and all that stuff. So that's my way of trying to get a little bit different.
It's so funny that Adam, you're wondering about Phil Evans leading off for Pittsburgh, just a little sneaky one-off. Because it was funny, I actually have a semi-sneaky one-off at that leading off at that position too, I think. So I have, for whatever reason, I have like a single one-off of Isaiah Kiner-Falefa.
Mm-hmm.
It was interesting. I don't know if it's a good player, bad player, whatever. I'm just getting that, and it reminded me of the of what Adam is bringing up. That
yeah, I mean, look, we could talk all day about just the value in the outfield, but who does he want to play?
He was asked by Phil Evans from Pittsburgh.
Oh, I don't think he's in the lineup.
Oh, well, maybe he won't get any ownership then.
Oh, he's not. The lineup's not out yet, but I don't even have him in the projected lineup unless it just came out. I mean, he might be in there instead of Polanco. You could play him instead of you could definitely do it. I don't have it, but I am totally fine with it. There's just so many value outfielders. I have him below the other ones.
Yeah. WW Fresh. I think this is a very interesting leverage point today that Josiah Gray actually. I mean, because you can make the cases for both angles. He's young and throws hard, and yet on the other hand, he's young and throws hard. So it's you're getting are you getting Hoskins in? No, right? You're getting Harper in though, right?
I'm getting I'm not playing Harper.
No. Not are you playing him? Is Hoskins in the lineup for Philadelphia? Is what I'm asking.
No, he's not.
Okay, so. Yeah, I don't know, W. I'm certainly not going to argue with this.
There's nothing wrong with stacking Philly. They're actually going to be pretty popular. You're not getting an ownership discount on them. Washington will be significantly lower owned. Josiah Gray is a much better pitcher. But we talked about this on the morning show. Like we really, you're 100% right. There's a way that it could go completely poorly. Gray could get wild, and Philly could, just go nuts on him and the bullpen. Like I said, there's nobody in Philly's lineup that I feel excited to play. Segura is expensive. I know he's a good real life hitter. He doesn't have any power. Real Muto is really expensive. So is Harper. And yeah, we shouldn't maybe worry about price, but it's not like you're getting ownership. These guys are all going to be owned.
Right.
So the only one, so you could just go ahead and play your favorite stack. If Philly is your favorite, go ahead. But you're really only getting an ownership discount from maybe the Yankees stack, because the Giants have Duggar. Now we've got Dickerson, who are going to be a little bit on the lower owned side. So Philly will, as a stack, will be lower owned, but their top 4 hitters are going to be owned. And I don't think it's as good of a spot, in my opinion, as the other ones where I can get real ownership discounts, like 3 of the Washington guys I have projected at less than 5% ownership. I just rather do that personally, but I'm okay with it. It's Josiah Gray is, it's the argument we always have about the stud young pitchers, but he is legitimately a stud.
You know what else would that we talked about earlier today, and you mentioned only the catcher position. How much Milwaukee are you going to play?
So I'm not getting to as many full stacks, but I have them a lot of complementary pieces.
Okay.
I'm not playing as much of the chalk Rowdy Tellez. There's just a lot of ways to go at first base that I can go differently. I am playing some of them, but a little bit less, definitely less than the field. I'm playing a little bit of Adames, but I prefer Crawford at probably a little lower ownership, and he fits into more of my stacks a little bit better. And I'd probably same ownership, I would say, between Crawford and Adames, maybe a little more for Crawford. Narvaez I love as a catching option. I love Escobar. Paying up for him, I think, will be actually a little bit lower owned. But then you get Avisail and Tyrone Taylor and Lorenzo Cain. Lorenzo Cain doesn't have the power anymore, really, but he has a stolen base upside. Not great for stacks. It's just I'm just not quite as high on it. I do like Wong, but he's going to be really popular. So I'm just trying to get a little bit different and not play too much of those guys. And I do think that Gary Sanchez is being overlooked from the Yankees side of things. And I think there's no reason to not play him because he's batting seventh. I also think Glaber is going to be underowned, not unowned. He'll be low owned at shortstop. So that's the ways to get different with your stacks you do like. But I'm completely on board. If someone wants to play Philadelphia, if someone told me Philadelphia is going to score the most runs tonight, it wouldn't surprise me the least bit at all.
No.
But you really only have the power bats you have are Harper, Real Muto. You lose the big Hoskins bat. And then, I mean, if you want to say that Brad Miller, Alec Baum, and Didi have power, sure. But like there are tons of other guys who are going to be just as low owned and, have shown more power or cheaper. The more I think about it, the more I think that getting on DraftKings, especially getting some Orioles in, if you can do it with your stacks, is a really good way to go. But good to see. I do agree in general. I like WW Fresh. He's a really good player, really good dude. Brooklyn Juice, but he, if you want to stack Philly, go ahead. I'm not at all against it. It's just not what I ended up doing.
I'll tell you, DraftKings is starting to act up on me today. I really am a little annoyed.
It may be because of the stream, so maybe we get off a few minutes
early.
That's
fine.
Sometimes the stream holds it up a little bit for me. What's up, Timothy? Adam's in here, which is great. Both.
DraftKings is starting to act up.
Sorry about that. Mute that. Seeing. Yeah, it's too much small a sample size to look at 8 innings from Josiah Gray for me to try to get excited about hitting against him. But there's plenty of other reasons to want to attack it. I would look more at the walks if you want to stack against him, and that's a good reason. Ruff was already of interest to me. I liked Ruff, so good question, Carnes. But I'm into Ruff anyway. Anytime Ruff is in the lineup against a righty, and you don't have to worry as much about the pinch hit risk, even though he's better against lefties, it just feels better that he's not going to get 2 at bats. Right. Seattle stack on DK. I would not fully stack Seattle. I think that would be a mistake, in my opinion. And I wouldn't say that about hardly any stacks in this thing. I think stacking them with 4 or less is okay. Maybe 3 or less is what I would do. Tampa has, in my opinion, the best bullpen in baseball, and statistically the second best bullpen in baseball. But they've been, since the All-Star break, I think they've given up, I think their ERA is around 1.2 or something like that. This is lights out bullpen. It goes along with why Tampa's been so good all year long. So I definitely don't look to try and stack the worst offense against them. But at the same time, I don't mind some pieces from Seattle.
Right.
Favorite low-owned stack on FanDuel? Good question. As a full stack, I'm more just finding different ways to differentiate within my stacks. Is how I've sort of gone about it. Because I sort of like the chalkier ones. I think the one over there that you will get, let me just double check my current ownership projections. I think that on FanDuel, you'll actually get more ownership on Philadelphia, so that maybe is not the best answer. I like the mini stack. I'll just say this. I like the mini stack for Baltimore everywhere. I think that getting 2 or 3 Baltimore guys in is a really good way to go and get different on this slate. I think the really low-owned stack that you can get some exposure to is the Mets. Tampa Bay is going to be popular on FanDuel in the places you want, but like G-Man Choi is probably not going to be very popular. Brandon Lau and Nelson Cruz will be extremely popular because their prices. I don't think the other guys are going to get a ton of love. In the one game no one's talking about, this Texas Angels game, I just think that you could take one-offs from that game and feel pretty good about it. Like Justin Upton's one I really like at 3K on DraftKings, 2.7 on FanDuel. But for the most part, of the 4 main stacks, that's mostly what I'm doing and trying to get different within those stacks. I do like those ones better. And Philly and Washington, I guess Washington would be the answer. Outside of Soto, potentially Bell, I don't expect anyone to get any ownership. So I think Washington would be my answer on FanDuel, although I'm stacking them more on DraftKings just because of the way I built today. And they fit in perfectly with getting exactly what I want elsewhere.
Speaking of that Texas game, you get Jonah Heim, who could hit the ball, and he's 2,700 hitting 4th.
Yep, I've got him in one of my decent-sized lineups. And I even by the way, I am playing the tiniest bit of Dunning tonight in that game.
I got no problem with that.
Yeah. But let me just do this real quick. No one's going to play Zunino, by the way, as another kid. Zunino and Sanchez are going to be left out because of Real Muto, Posey, and Narvaez for good reason, but there's massive power with Zunino and Sanchez. So I sort of like the idea of trying to get those guys in if you're not stacking the other ones, because they're just going to be unowned. So I don't even mind the 9-off, 1-off, because Zunino has more power than these other guys too. Like,
right.
And Sanchez, you could argue, has, well, actually, Knight can't argue it. When, obviously he strikes out so much and he has all the other problems, but in general has probably the most power of any of these guys. And that's all we want. We want the power upside. We don't necessarily need Buster Posey, going 3 for 5 or whatever with a walk, or 3 for 4 with a walk. And you can get the same amount of one swing of these other guys. But Narvaez is the guy I'm using the most. I like Severino too, by the way, as another one who's going to be off the board. It's just part of that. I have him in my 3-man stacks, like Hayes, Santander, Severino, and then you could do whatever you want elsewhere. Oh, we got another trade here. Lonzo Ball was traded to the Bulls, which I knew was happening, but
wow,
they really didn't get anything for that sign-in trade.
Wow,
nothing. They got Satoransky, Garrett Temple, and a 2nd-round pick.
Pretty
good job by the Bulls there.
All right, I'm probably gonna just kind of get moving. I could keep this up for a while if you want.
I'll just real quick answer Adam's question about secondary stack, which one I prefer for single entry, San Francisco, Washington, Milwaukee. I'm guessing that means you're stacking the Yankees primarily. So San Francisco will be the next most popular. And I would probably say, I would say Milwaukee I like a little better than Washington to score more runs, but I think Washington at lower ownership. The problem is it's very hard for me to play a Washington mini stack even that doesn't include Soto. And that gets into your Yankees stuff if you want to play the outfielders from the Yankees.
Right.
That's just something to think about. But it's a pretty straightforward slate, and there's a lot of ways to get different. And I'm very supportive of taking these other shots. Just make sure if you're going to play the lower owned stacks, it's like Philly's not going to be unowned, like I said, but play a Didi or something like that to get off the board even more, because it's going to be a bunch of people with similar point totals tonight, in my opinion. I think you're going to see a slightly lower scoring slate unless the Yankees put up 15 runs. It should be a lower scoring slate than some of the other ones we've had.
All right, guys, I'm going to go. Good luck, everybody. And we will hopefully
good luck.
Hopefully we get a good sweat.
Somebody pull a Sheets tonight and win $25K.
See you later, guys.